G'day, Pommy Bonsai chap here. How are ya? Sorry about that, Sam. That was a pretty weak impersonation, but you know, sometimes when the beer hits the back of the throat and the oaks are calling out for your help, you got to have something to just make life a little bit easier. So took a leaf out of your book and decided that the best way to hit the bonsai is to hit the bowl first. Ching ching. Today we're going to be having a look at this oak in all seriousness. Just a reminder for the children, too much alcohol is bad for the nose. Reddens it up and gives you a bit of a Father Christmas honker. Yeah, so what we're going to be looking at is hopefully the start of a project that's going to go on for a few years. There's a few pictures that I'll show up here, there, everywhere, as the Beatles once sung. I'm not even going to try and sing it. Of where I got this oak. At the moment it's about 4 foot tall, so it's difficult to try and get perspective for it, and I'll try and do some close-ups while I'm not in it, because the last thing you need is a close-up of that. I got this for 30 quid from Greenwoods Nursery, and all it was literally just the main trunk. There was none of this stuff growing over the last few years. I've literally just allowed the development of those branches, and again there'll be 2 or 3 pictures showing that development. And this is when I talk about a project that you're actually, oh, that's my son again, which you're looking at working on over time, and you've got to take your time. So I'm still in primary development, although saying that I've now been developing the secondary branches, which are these ones here, which have been wired up. I wired them up last November. And I noticed that the buds were just starting to show a little bit of green. Anyway, cheers, and once again, sorry Sam, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. I promise never ever to do a Pommy Bonsai promise never to do a Pommy Bonsai chap again. But why not? Why not something different? Hello, how are you? So pleased to meet you. It's Pommy Bonsai chap here. Darned good to see you, and chin chin, hopefully we'll have an awfully good time working on this oak. Quercus robus. Yah, very good. That's appalling. Yeah, so from behind the camera, which I'm a much more safer place to, I've managed to find a blue background. Hopefully, through that you should be able to get a better look of the structure that's forming on this. You know, I'm pretty happy with it actually, and I'm pretty impressed with the way it's going. Long way to go yet, but yeah, actually it's going to be a beautiful tree. So all I'm going to do is just put you through a minute or so of me removing wire, which in terms of watching paint dry is probably equates to about the same in the bonsai world, but I'm sure you'll just skip if you don't want to see it. I've just had a look at the weather report, and apparently this will be the last day when a bit of floaty string is going to be is dry. Apparently it's going to start raining, and we're going to see a drop in temperatures for a week or so. So I'm just going to continue to work my way around this oak. Really so happy with that. I mean, I must be honest, it's always hard. You buy a project tree, and when you first start, you know, there's not a lot to do with it, and you've got to wait, and you get itchy fingers, you're desperate to want to do stuff to it. But as you saw from the pictures, there wasn't a lot to do. You just got to be patient. That's how I ended up getting more trees in the end, because I was so desperate to do stuff. I'd end up buying another tree and then another tree, just so that I could keep working, just keep being bonsai busy. So the wire has been in place for a good 4 months. And all the branches, all the secondary branching is set beautifully. It's still in development, so I want it to push out more energy. The more shoots, the more leaves coming out, the thicker this branching is going to get. And you know, that's still part of the development stage. This is far from far from refinement, that's for sure. Hello, Xavier again. Expressions of Grace Bonsai. Oh, there comes a big wind. From the sky. I had a call from someone the other day, and he was asking about whether or not I had some oaks, and he was thinking of a 60th anniversary, and to be honest, it was fantastic to get an email through the website for that request, and though I actually have lots of oaks, I think the sort of thing he was looking for was probably a little beyond my my range, in sense of I certainly haven't got anything 40, 50, 60 years old or anything substantial like that. And it did occur to me, I had a little look at it, that actually it needs to come out of that massive great pot sooner rather than later, since I've now got my primary branches going. I really need to get that root structure going. I think Nigel will be tutting that I didn't get the root structure done first. But anyway, that's another story. So I always said that this monster here was destined for another tree, and that's the oak. I'm hoping it'll be deep enough, but it's the only pot that's going to be anywhere near big enough. So that means all these lovely Chinese elms that have been in here for a couple of years have got to come out tout sweet. So that's what I'm going to do here. So what I'll do is, at the bottom of the garden, you're literally just going to see some probably time lapse of me removing all these. I'll keep them in a damp spot for the few hours that I need, because I'm going to go up and do the oak. But to be fair, individually these elms are probably going to be much better individually. I think that's what I just said. Anyway, so that's what I'll be doing. As you probably all know, oaks are a bit skew with the old springtime table. They keep their leaves the longest, and they also take the longest to open up, well, apart from ash as well. So it does mean I've got a good few more weeks before I need to get too worried about that. So anyway, so I'm not sure what I'm going to find in here, but I've got a big rock. I'm going to dismantle this, and then I'm going to take it up to the top end, where we're going to work on the oak tree there, because it's too heavy for me to carry. So I'm going to have to do a removal on site, do root prune up there, and just have a general think about it. Apart from that, I may mutter about a few things that have sort of popped up. I watched a film yesterday or the day before with Ryan Reynolds in it. Apparently it was number 6 in the film chart on Netflix. Don't know what that means. We looked at the number 3 one and I had to turn it off after 10 minutes because it was just so disgusting. I don't know what they call humour these days for, well, it's supposed to be for children, and it was absolute filth, but that's the way it is. But no, I saw this Ryan Reynolds film, and it made me pose a question about how we view blasphemy in our society. And I'm not going to go spouting from a Catholic perspective, and although I have strong views, I am going to pose a question, and you can ignore it and just look at me do this, or you can ponder on it yourself. Anyway, enough for me, I'm going to get to work. Okay, we're all set up, I've moved all the stuff. Got my bowl of water here for when I pull these things out. 407, here we go. I'm not sure how much root. Donny Dinosaur, raw, you can go. I mean, it makes sense. The pot itself, got from Saving Nurseries when the tree they had in it died. They had this great big massive elm, and I asked if I could have the pot, and he said yes. So he let me have it for 50 quid. Quite a nice big size. I did thread some of these into the rock, so I am sort of undoing some work that I've done, but I think the oak needs this more than I do. I'm hoping I can sort of sift and reuse a lot of this soil because it's pretty good. You know, I think it's going to rain. Boo. First one. Nice roots on that. Yeah, into the water. Okay, tree number 2. Four. That's a nice little tree actually. I like that. Nice bit of rock. That's come from the Welsh hillsides apparently. The roots had already started digging into it, so it's a shame. It could have been a good project. Gosh, no, look at the roots on this. Okay, so I don't know, I think there's nine trees in there. Bearing in mind it's getting harder and harder to get Chinese elms. Probably bodes well for the future. There's another 9 more trees I've got there. Some pretty good sizes in there actually. I'll probably wire up the base of this and then I'll take you up the top end. No, but the question I was going to pose, and as I say, I'm no judgment call on it myself, but I've always firmly held that whatever faith you hold it for a reason. And you know, for those who hold their faith simply because it's on their birth certificate or it's their parents, a bit like political affiliations, that's fine, no judgment. But in a country that shows such respect for all diverse aspects of our society, our modern society, whether you agree or not, it's not here to make that decision at all. But I just find it a little bit unusual how certain sorts of blasphemy are allowed in this country without comment, as though it means nothing, versus what could be seen more as blasphemy from other religions. And you know, I'm not judging. I've got a lot of respect for anyone who holds their religious beliefs firmly, because it shows they believe in what it is they espouse to. It's not my place to say whether it's right or wrong, as it is not my place to tell you what you should believe. I'm not going to do that. But it is, the question is, why is it that in our society right now there seems to be no issue whatsoever with really quite foul blasphemy towards God or Jesus Christ. And again, it's not about belief, but it's about the principle. If you believe we're in a society where everyone's free, entitled to their opinion, unless of course it encroaches on other people, and in particular with religious, where it can actually get quite heated and quite emotional, quite rightly so, it's a belief. Why does it seem to be that it's okay to be blaspheming in some particular groups? And I'm going to be honest, within the Christian field, and the first thing I'll say is Christians or atheists seem to have this real easy. They seem to have no problem with it, which for an atheist I can probably understand. But if we look at the situation conversely from, say, Islamic faith, or any of the other Jewish, and I say this without any great knowledge, so I'm not going to espouse anything, but what I don't see is any freely accepted jokes or blasphemies within films on those. Quite rightly, I believe there shouldn't be. I do believe we should respect each other's faiths. I may have a different understanding or idea of what I believe to be faith, but that's not for me to impress upon you or anyone else. But I do firmly hold that what is right and correct for one faith group should be exactly the same for any other faith group. Why it seems to be applied unequally across all the respected and acknowledged religions and faiths. That's the one I'm posing. Not about who's right or wrong, but why it is that there seems to be this disparity in how we apply that rule and who we allow to be offended without recourse. So there you go. Anyway, I'm going to move this, do some work. If this has offended you in any way, I'm sorry, but I did say I was going to be doing some sort of chats on here that you may not necessarily agree with. If you don't agree with what I'm talking about right now, that's all. Put the sound down. I haven't got a great voice anyway. Anyway, that's all for now. I'm going to finish this up. Hey yo. The wind's going to be pretty strong up here, so sound may be in or out. So I won't actually be saying anything. All I'm going to do is just wire that up now, get the base in and have a think about how I'm going to secure it. Looks like it's just 2 central holes, so I'm just going to have wire through that. But I'm just going to do that. I imagine this will be on time lapse because it's really funny when I go really fast. I don't know, I might actually be able to do screws into the bottom of the oak, but I won't know till I take it out, so I'll hang fire on my securing technique until then. Alright, let's get this up to the top end then. So anyway, so up here at the top of the garden, got the pot wired up, it's over there, soil's ready for the wire. The elms are down the bottom soaking in a luxurious bath of dirty soapy water, and hopefully the wind won't be so bad that you won't be able to hear what I have to say. Maybe it will be that bad, in which case you'll be putting thumbs up and saying, great, we don't have to listen to him. Yeah, so it's always a motive when you talk about anything to do with faith, talk about anything to do with blasphemy. But I just wanted to be clear, that's not actually what I'm talking about. I'm talking about whether we've got parity of rules. Now, and again, if I say anything or refer to any of the faiths incorrectly, please feel free to put something in the comments and I'll amend, because my knowledge is only as good as, well, it's not that good, to be honest. You know, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. Yeah, I don't pretend to be an expert on faith, and why should I be? I believe in my faith, and as I would expect any other true believer in any other faith or philosophy or way of thought, that they would stick to that and be true to that. So it brings me back to, why is it there appears to be a lack of parity in how blasphemy is treated between different faiths, different religions. I know full well I certainly couldn't use certain terms or names in a casual way that perhaps we become used to in films or daily life or in front of our children. And I'm not sure it's a conscious bias or a conscious decision. I think it's been allowed for so many years that no one questions it. But if I was of another faith and I heard someone taking the name of their creator in vain, I would have doubts about how seriously they take their vows. That's my opinion. For me, the commandments are quite clear, and it's a matter of faith that I believe they exist, and I'm entitled to have that faith. But I'm also entitled to question why it is that our society allows such free reign of blasphemy across the Christian range, as though it's common speech. I think if you look in the dictionary, it's just common speech, and people say, oh, I don't even know it's to do with faith, or you'll get, some people said to me, well, I don't believe in God, so I'm not being blasphemous. And there's part of me that, well, maybe I can understand that, but what I don't understand is why the rules seem so one-sided. I would expect our society to be as abhorred against blasphemy against the Christian God as any other God, and to treat it equally and the same. Whereas now, I brought this up, this silly film I watched, because it was a great film, but well, I nearly turned it off halfway through, because by the 4th or 5th occasion that our Lord was firmly taken in vain, as an expletive or as a swear. I mean, they don't know what they're saying, I know that, but I couldn't use that as an excuse if I took another name for God in vain, and quite rightly, why should I? Why should I be allowed to get away with that? And I'm just saying that in society as it is now, the rules that we have now and the religious protection and everything, why isn't it equal? That's all I'm asking, and I just wonder. It's not about what faith you believe in, it's just about parity and equality of governance. You know, I can be honest, I'm really honest and say it upsets me extremely that I can't watch any sort of film without the sure knowledge that my God name will be truly taken in vain repeatedly, not just by adults but by children. And though they probably know different, they don't know any better, or they may be atheists, or they may not believe, or whatever. If they're allowed to do it for my faith, why then is there equally not allowed across the range? Personally, I say it should be a blanket ban, or blanketly looked down upon right across. But I certainly don't see any of our Hollywood blockbusters espousing blasphemy across Islam or the Jewish or any of the other faiths that are equally due to be respected for those who believe and those who follow. So I just wanted to get that off my chest, and if it's not clear, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's right. And it has nothing to do with what you believe. It has nothing to do with what I believe. It's just about why isn't there parity across the range? Yeah, anyway, so if you didn't like that, I'm sorry. I try to avoid such subjects, but I did say there's going to be some talks on here. Let's get back to this oak. I'm not sure how easily this is going to come out. The reason why I'm doing it up here is I can't lift this, so I'm hoping that I will actually be able to lift the tree out. I don't want to just heave, because I'll probably heave my back out. Let's have a look. Having set all these branches in place, I really want to be a bit careful. There we go. And I think this is a prime example of why Nigel's quite right. Let's get this roots sorted first before we start doing anything with structure. Definitely a nice set of fruits there. I've got a fern in here. Get that out, we don't want this fern in the small pot. Don't want to take too much of the root ball away. Though there's quite a lot in there. I want to just look after the sheen a little bit. There's something developing sheen wise. Okay, tell you what. My back is going to be absolutely crying out. So there's definitely some crossing roots in there, but that's good enough to get in the pot. Okay, so here we are again. I just had to take a phone call, so hopefully the roots haven't dried out too much. Got some extra kitty litter. Hopefully that's not for the cats, but anyway. So the pot's all there. I've got some wire going through. first tie down and see what happens. I don't even know how much grip there's going to be in this root ball. I'm not actually trying to undercut. There's a great big root going down that I'm trying to get on the bottom of. That's the only thing you've got to watch out with something this big, is the amount of soil you're going to need. It's amazing how many times that can be underestimated, but I mean, cost wise there's probably a third of a bag of the kitty litter, so that's £4 or £5. I'd imagine to actually put the soil and everything in this one is probably £5. Pot I'm using, as I say, I got for £50. The tree, when I originally got it, was £40, and that was, say, 4 or 5 years ago. Another 8 or so quid on wire, soil. So in total, and just materials alone over the last 4 years, it wouldn't surprise me if somewhere near £110 has been spent already, and that's before you look at how much time I've put into it. And the fact that you've got to factor in, you can't just get a tree like this, you have to build it, so you're also paying for that. Okay, let's get it a watering. This is definitely one of those cases when you could do with some moss, especially exposed roots around here, so I will probably go hunting around and see if I can find some and get some moss on there. But otherwise we just need to do a little bit of a display with it. Some moss on there, but yeah. He looks a happy little woodcutter there, although I'm not sure he'd be very happy about cutting that monster down. But fingers crossed, that will get through okay, as will the oak behind it. Oh. Right. How long before the birds have this off, I wonder. I might actually find some wire, chicken wire to put over this. So, from Xavier Expressions of Grace Bonsai, hopefully this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful premium oak, and hopefully the birds will leave my moss alone. But even if they don't, if they leave it for long enough that the upper roots can establish, then that'll be fine. Always got me axemen to sort them out. Yeah, so hopefully you got something from that. It was an unexpected thing that I was doing. So anyway, that'll do for now because I'm starving. Cheers.